Welcome to DIY Project Party. My name is Ben, and today what our project is going to be is we're going to make a mini wheel for an Xbox One controller. But the problem is I don't have an Xbox One, so I invited my friend Jim, a.k.a. vypermajik, on to help me.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my home. Thank you for inviting me to my own home, by the way. I really appreciate it. I've been really excited for this. I have a pretty cool steering wheel set up, but Ben found this really cool project, and we're going to put together a mini steering wheel for Xbox One controllers.
He has the controllers, he has a wheel, we're going to test them all out, and we're going to see which one is the best. So,
yes.
Before we start, we need a drink. But
tradition.
Hold on. Put on your glasses because you know the confetti cannon that comes out? Sometimes I mean, you're right in the line of the confetti. Okay, you ready?
I am set. All
right. Grab a drink.
Drink.
Cheers.
Cheers to Ben. Oh, it's very good.
All right. It's time to get started.
Let's get to it.
And then
okay, safety glasses off now for safety.
We don't need them right now.
Okay, I am ready. Teach me, what do we have here? There's a lot of stuff on the table.
Okay, so the first thing that I did is I went to the website Thingiverse to download the 3D models.
Okay, so these are just free to download. You go in there and you get this little file.
Yep, free to download. Okay. Go there. The only other thing that you need to get started for this project is a set of bearings. Okay. And these are standard 608 bearings, commonly used in roller skate.
Yes, I had a pair of roller blades back in the day when I was younger and cooler. And I had ABEC. I don't remember the number, but I remember
these are ABEC 9.
I was going to say, I remember the higher the number, the faster they went, or the less friction or whatever. So I don't know if it matters so much for this, but you pulled all the stops. ABEC 9 is probably...
We're comparing it to your professional wheel.
The Cadillac of bearings for this kit. I understand. Okay.
Oh, I wanted to mention that all of where to find these files, where to buy the bearings, the links are going to be all in the description below.
Nice. So if you want to make your own thing, you just need a 3D printer.
Right.
And these links to these files, and people at home can follow along.
Exactly.
All right. So you can pause the video at this point and start 3D printing, and then when you get done, come right back to this point.
Right.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Good.
So let's let's move through the parts.
Yeah.
Here.
Show me what we got. There's a lot of stuff.
All right. So one of the parts here is the frame.
Okay. And this is what it looks like when it. This is another frame that was just to show everybody what it looks like.
So when you 3D print, there are parts that don't sit flat on your 3D printer.
That makes sense.
So they have overhangs, so this is kind of like a complicated part.
Understood.
So these overhangs here, if there's nothing underneath it to support it, it'll just start drooping.
And so that's what all these print offs are, just kind of standoffs just to give it some weight, and then you file those off or cut them off?
So what we can actually do is these are small enough that you can start breaking off these pieces here.
Okay, so how long does it take to print? How long did it take to print this particular piece?
Let's see. This particular piece probably about 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, so probably these smaller ones were probably much quicker then because they were...
So what I did is some of these smaller parts that are of the same color, I put them all together on the build plate.
Gotcha.
In the slicer.
So it did one sweep through everything, and you print all the blue pieces at once.
Yes.
Time is money. I understand. Exactly. So what are all these pieces? What did you print? All the different things.
All right. So the pieces. So you have your frame.
That's the frame. Okay.
We have two different frames here, one for each of the controllers.
Right, depending on the original versus the Elite controller, because you said they're slightly different cases, so slightly different frames. Okay.
We have the bearings that we bought.
The ABEC 9s.
ABEC 9s.
ABEC 9, only the best.
We have these racks here.
Racks. Okay.
So these are the parts that will move back and forth.
Understood.
And these racks are connected to these pivot pieces that are actually going to go on the controller to move the stick.
So that actually connects over the thumb grip.
It connects over the thumb grip.
Okay, I understand.
And then lastly, what we'll do is we'll add on the steering wheel where you can put your thumbs in.
And I see you printed a couple different samples here. They're the same connection on the back, I assume?
They are, yep.
It's just the only difference is one of them is more of a wheel versus more of a, I don't know, T or something. There's like Formula One or something. It reminds me of that.
Yes.
Okay, so it's irrelevant as long as this piece is the correct to snap into whatever other pieces you have.
Right.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool. All right. So because we have there's two different models that we're using for the two different controllers.
Okay.
There's also a slimmed down version of the rack and the pivot piece, as opposed to one that's all 3D printed. So for this slimmed down version, you have to use a paper clip to join these pieces together.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, in that piece, there's a little plastic, like a ball joint almost, that pops out.
Yep.
And as opposed to the Elite controller, it doesn't. Now, this isn't an exclusive thing between Elite controller or not. You just wanted to print one of each to show the difference.
One of each. We're going to try them out.
Okay.
See how they work.
Sure.
The only thing that's different is the frames.
Understood. Everything else seems somewhat interchangeable if you wanted to use this style versus this style or the different wheels.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right. So we walked through all the pieces.
Yes.
Let's get started building.
I am ready to build.
All right. Should we have our safety goggles on?
Oh, the glasses
I don't know.
back
We're
on?
going to be snapping pieces together. Who knows what's going to happen? We may need another drink.
I'm ready for more drinks. Okay, more drinks. Now I'm working with fragile pieces of technology and electronics. It's good to have some...
Safety first.
Yes, I agree. Safety first.
All right. So let's get started.
Let's begin. Okay, so walk me through exactly what... This seems pretty simple, but I don't know. I'm glad a professional is here.
There's one step where it makes it a little bit easier if you do if you put the bearing in before other pieces. So we'll just
I understand. We will work through it. Jump cuts may or may not occur.
I don't want to use jump cuts. This is a one-shot
video.
All right. So we have two controllers.
We do?
Here.
Yes.
Again, we have the Elite controller.
Yep.
And the standard controller.
Yes. Okay, so walk me through how to build this thing.
All right. So first step, what we're going to do is we're going to take our frame.
Yes, take our frame.
And then the best way that I found to put these on is to put it over the top and then snap it onto the bottom.
Okay, so when we were dorking around in our dry runs earlier, this part went okay. It's the next part, the pivotal part with these bearings where you want to be mindful because we ran into a couple issues. We got some broken pieces of plastic around here. You got to be careful with the bearing. And
it's because the bearing is very precise.
Yes.
These 3D printers are not.
Absolutely.
So when you do these prints, they may come in oversized, undersized. So you may have to use a little super glue, or you may have to sand them a little bit down.
Yes, maybe a little sandpaper. One of the tactics that we found worked well for us in the dry run was actually freezing the bearings.
Freezing the bearings, you can get them
in
and out a little bit.
Yes, okay. So keep that in mind. So we've gone through the bearing process. We think we're in good shape, but what is the next step now? It is actually the bearing step, correct?
Let's break out these bearings.
Let's break out some of these sweet ABEC 9s. Woo! Mwah! Okay, so just stick it in.
So just stick it in the center.
Yes. Let me go ahead, and what you will notice, too, is that it is completely flush. So it had a kind of a gentle snap to it, but you want it to be flush. You don't want it to stick out. You had mentioned glue. Where would you put the glue, and what would that be for again?
So if the frame, you print it a little bit big, then what you would need to do if this bearing starts sliding around on the inside, put a dab of super glue there so that
just to lock it in place.
When you're drinking and driving, make a hard turn. It doesn't.
Not me. But
no,
for others.
No,
for
of
others.
Course,
not me.
Of
course. I'm a professional. Okay, what is the next step? So we got our bearing in place. Now we're going to go ahead and
put our rack.
The rack in.
So there's like a little notch right here, or a little standoff here.
What you want to do, I'm assuming, and this is just figuring it out. Not like we've tried this 100 times off camera.
No, absolutely not. No.
You want the teeth to be facing down. The reason you want them to face down is because the wheel is going to need to connect to the teeth.
Correct. Yes.
You put the teeth up in the air, and it's really cool. But when you go to turn the wheel, it's not going to have anything to bite on, and it ain't going to work.
No.
So teeth down. You want this, obviously, you're using the left analog stick to control the vehicle. So you want to have this piece over on the left analog stick.
Correct.
Okay, I'm with you. I think so far this makes perfect sense. Okay. So far we've got two pieces on, actually three if you want to include the bearing.
Correct.
What is next?
This is where these two start assembling a little bit different.
Okay.
You have a different piece than I do.
I do. I have, mine is just a kind of flat piece. Yours has a standoff for the pin, which in this case is a paper clip.
We're going to be using a paper clip.
Okay.
So yours, move the rack all the way to the side.
Yep.
And then you want to turn that the other way and squeeze it in there.
Yes.
And then once the rack is inside this pivot piece.
So step one, it's connected in there, but you notice that it's not on the stick yet.
Right.
then you want to go ahead and actually put it on the stick.
Right, move the stick around and then
Yes.
slide it on from the top.
Yes, so now what you have is you're going to have something like this, okay? Does it make sense? And now when you can see just the little rough test here, when I turn the wheel, the stick does in fact move. And something you want to be mindful of as I was thinking about this, we were putting it together, make sure this piece is on nice and square. Otherwise what you're going to get is instead of going purely left to right, you're going to do diagonal up to lower right or diagonal up or right to lower left.
And
you want it to be precise.
And you're not going to win the race.
Okay, so this one is a little bit easier. Now this one you have for the Elite controller.
Yep.
Again, you could use either piece for either controller. We're just showing one of each, right? That's the idea?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so walk me through what's the difference between that setup now.
Okay, so this piece, slimmed down version, the low profile, it has a hole so that
okay.
So the paper clip can go inside of there.
Gotcha.
So on my piece here, one of the sides of the hole is a little bit smaller than the other. So what I need to do is I need to slide it in at the bottom first.
So you're gonna, again, your mileage may vary depending on your printer, depending on just
the tolerance,
everything. You just don't know. But understand that with this particular piece, that hole may be different sizes. You may have to finesse it a little bit. The paper clip seemed to work pretty well for us. You could stick it in and cut it to length, or you can cut it to length previously, whatever you want. But the idea is you want a nice solid connection between those two pieces so there's no slip, there's no loss. Because if that's a sloppy connection, even if you're turning the wheel, you're not going to get that bite on the analog stick and it's not going to perform well. So
that's right.
Two different styles. Obviously this one he was mentioning had to be loaded from the bottom up. Yours might be half from the top down, but at the end of the day, that's what it needs to look like, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So,
with the paper clip sticking out, that's
paper
cool.
clip is sticking out, but I don't like that.
I don't either. What do we do?
So we're going to trim the paper clip.
Jump cut? Oh, okay. We're going to trim.
No, Jim.
No jump cut. We don't jump cut it. The magic. Okay, so you clipped. So now you have, so the same thing, if you move the teeth, you can see there is some motion there again. You want that to be as square as possible. That's going to allow a nice, good bite.
So what I'm seeing already is with that paper clip in there, there's a little bit of free play in this, which I don't like.
Okay.
But yours is really rigidly connected on the inside there. So
I understand. Now, you're right. There is more play in this variant than the other variant. So on that alone, as a professional driver, I would prefer, I think, this one a little bit more. But you were doing both just to see, and this is part of DIYing, right?
Print them out and see what happens.
Print them out and try. Yours might be better. You may end up doing both of these at home, and you may find that one is better. It's just, and since you kind of did all these in one run anyway, just go crazy.
All right.
So now we're at the same point. Obviously, slightly different connectors on the controller.
Yep.
What's next?
Last step is we're going to put on the steering wheel.
Okay, steering wheel.
So I'm using the lower profile one.
Okay. Something to mention here, again, we learned through meticulous grunting and sweating, is that you want to actually make sure you may have to sand it down. Okay. You may have to freeze the bearing, as we had mentioned before, or not. I think Ben's got a sample here. He's going to show off of a broken toy.
So we tried to disassemble these parts, and we actually broke them because the plastic is really stuck inside of that bearing.
Oh yeah, we horsed it pretty hard and we shattered it. So now,
if it's not going in, sand it a little bit.
Just a little bit. We took like 320 grit, very light, just very light, couple strokes, and this stuff seems to sand very easily. The other thing that I found in testing as well, you want to make sure that you're using the center tooth with the center tooth. That's what gives you the best range of motion. And as you can see, proof of concept now that as I turn my little wheel, the analog stick is in fact turning.
Yep.
That is really, really cool. So now, this is it, right? This is the setup.
This is it.
So you hold the controller, you have your two thumb grips here. You have your thumbstick grip here and here, and you can turn. You still have access to your trigger buttons for your gas and your brake. And you can be a pro racer. So now I guess, so far, I mean, this is very, very exciting. But we got to put this to the test, right? Is that the next step? Put this to the test?
Nope, we got one more step.
There's one more. Drink. Is it drink?
Drink.
Drink. That's the next step. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Oh, Alexa's telling us. She's having a problem connecting to the internet.
All right, so now that we got this assembled, and what we've done so far is downloaded somebody else's design, we've printed it, and we've successfully assembled it on our controllers.
We also broke many pieces of
We
plastic.
also broke a couple of pieces, yep.
We froze some bearings. No small children or animals were harmed that I'm aware of yet.
But you know what? Like I say in some of my other videos...
What do you say in other videos?
Comment,
rate, and subscribe?
Comment, rate, subscribe.
Yes.
But things don't always go right the first time.
Okay,
so
yes.
You gotta finesse these
That's
things.
the joy of a tinkerer, right? Is you just kind of try things and see what works and what doesn't work.
So what I've done is I've made something a little custom for these wheels. What do all custom wheels have in common? Talking about high-end cars, what do they all have?
Something cool in the center.
Exactly. So I needed...
That wasn't scripted, by the way, and I was petrified I was going to say the wrong thing and we were going to have to cut it. But actually, I got it in the first try.
All right, I'm going to give you this controller here. So
there's a custom centerpiece, yes.
I created a custom centerpiece for this. So,
oh, how cool is this? This is awesome. Wow. This is my YouTube logo.
It is.
And this is Saltaire. This is really cool. That's
so
really neat. Look at that
logo.
Praise the Sun from Dark Souls. How cool is that? And that goes in the center? Is that what you're saying?
So yes. So
whoa, how neat.
We're using the slim down version.
So it just slides right in then because you have a recessed piece, I assume?
So this wheel does not have an...
oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah, okay, I understand. But that one does.
Just snap that in.
How cool is that? Okay, now I'm excited. I gotta admit, up to this point, I was like at a 6 out of 10, but now I'm like at a 9.5, maybe a 10 out of 10.
Wow, great.
Maybe. I don't even know, but that's really cool. So if you want to print your own custom piece, the only thing you have to be mindful of is the back, that it's a nice...
Yes.
That it matches up and it looks great. I guess you could glue it if you wanted to, or you could
glue it
pop
on.
them out if you want to have different ones for different people. Or
Yep. So what I did is...
That is really neat.
What I did is I found your logo from your channel online.
Yes.
There's a lot of Praise the Sun logos. And what I did is I imported it to a program called Inkscape.
Inkscape, okay.
I imported it in, and then what I did is I used the bitmap trace function. So I traced all of the pieces in there, including the sun in the center, all of the light and the dark regions. And then what I did, I saved it as an SVG file because what I wanted to do is import it into a 3D modeling program. I imported it into Fusion 360, which is another free modeling program if you register it as a creator.
Okay.
And then I was able to create both the white logo and also a backing to it.
I was going to ask you about that. So yeah, so that's not actually, is that actually white and blue of your plastic, or is that some kind of dye or something?
Nope. So I have a dual extruder printer, so I can print 2 colors at the same time.
That is really sharp. I think that is awesome. I'm very excited.
In order to do that, you need to create 2 different models.
Okay.
One for the logo, which is a little bit extruded, and then the backing, which has a negative extrude or a cut.
Yeah.
For the white pieces in it.
Okay.
And then also the blue piece also has a standoff on the back to fit right into the steering wheel.
So these were 2 separate pieces, or did they print it all at once? Did you have to like put one in another like a puzzle piece?
So if you didn't have a dual extruder printer, you'd have to do that.
Okay, but on yours, on the dual extruder printers, if you have one of those, this is one shot.
This is one shot.
I mean, you have to do all the front end stuff as you mentioned with the different files and stuff, but when you printed it, that was it.
Yep. So you put these 2.
That is so cool.
Put these 2 models into the slicer together, and then they slice them, and then it knows which one to print from what extruder because you assign it.
That's
so you say,
cool.
Print this one white, print this one blue, and then it comes out
like
just
that.
like this.
Very cool. I'm very excited. So that is how you put one of these together. I hope we made it look kind of easy. Probably a little trial and error on the printer side.
A little trial and error.
Definitely my first time working with any 3D printed parts. Definitely some trial and error. You got to understand you're going to have to be a little aggressive on some of the fits. Might push, but not too hard. Obviously, you can print more of these things if you need to.
And we've done this in a few minutes because we've cut out all of the parts that we've had to pre-assemble, or we didn't do any pre-assemble, but what we did is we mocked it up ahead of time.
Yeah, we tried just to kind of make sure things looked like they'd fit in place.
And we found that things didn't work exactly right, so we had to sand them down.
So hopefully some lessons learned for you guys. Before you print everything, try to assemble it just off the controller first, make sure everything got a nice grip to it.
Yep.
The bearings seem to be the hardest challenge, I think.
In
terms of getting the steering wheel actually into the bearing in a nice snug fit. And then obviously with this particular setup, making sure that those two pieces line up to get the paper clip in seemed to be a slight challenge. But otherwise, as somebody who's never really worked with this stuff, this makes very good sense.
Great. All right. So now, the reason why you're here.
The reason I am here.
Yep. We got to try this out.
Because you're in my house. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Another reason I'm here.
Another reason you're here is because you're going to try out these controllers, and we're going to see how they compare to the actual Logitech wheel that you have.
Okay, I'm very excited.
And let's play some Forza.
Let's check it out. Here we go. Awesome. That looks great. 3, 2, 1, gas. All right, so I am using my Logitech G920 wheel. Some people have the 290 wheel. If you have the PlayStation variant, I've had a lot of luck with this wheel. I really enjoy the look and the feel of it, and it feels very authentic to me. And that's something
why you bought it, right?
That's exactly why I got it. Maybe a little bit on a sale as well. I'm using the standard Xbox, by the way. I don't have the S or the X, so you may see a little bit of jitter in the video. But it has nothing to do with the wheel. The control is great. I've spent a lot of time calibrating this wheel to my liking, and I could say just in the little bit I've already been driving now, it just feels very natural to me, and I rarely have any kind of spin outs. And I'm going to play an automatic on all three, by the way, just so that there's no shifting thing, because I will definitely do a lot better speed shifting if I was using the thing here. So I'm going to skip shifting. I'm going to just treat it as an automatic. And I can tell you that this feels really, really natural and really good to me. All right, here we are with controller 2. I can already tell the difference.
Now you're using the the standard Xbox controller.
This is a standard Xbox controller
with the large wheel.
With the large wheel, and I am not very good. But I will tell you that it's very responsive. Now, the big difference, the big difference here is that I hate fences apparently now. The big difference here is that you're going to have a much more precise gas and brake, because you're going to be able to use your left and right index fingers to control the amount of gas and brake. That's something that's very, very important. But I will say that for my hands, which are a little, which are a little bigger, I am having a slightly harder time getting my left thumb on the grip during turns. I feel like my right thumb is being the workhorse here. So I'm kind of almost driving with one hand. But I can tell you from a drifting perspective, which I am not much of a drifter, especially on this G920, I could totally see this being a drifting machine. And I'm kind of excited to play around with it a little bit more to see if I could maybe get a little more precise in the turns. I definitely see potential in this, though. And
so if you had people over and you printed a couple of these,
yes,
people have fun.
I think so.
Okay.
I think this is a lot more like Mario Kart-esque in the sense that, like, yes, I'm starting to get some fine tuning. But again, my left hand is, I mean, really, other than the brake, you could take my left hand away. But again, I just have bigger hands. Now, if my hands were a little bit smaller, maybe it wouldn't be as bad. But yeah, I think this is actually really, really cool, and I could start to see some cool potential here. So this is a cool toy. I do like this. Don't ignore the fact that I'm crashing into a tree. This is a cool toy, and I do like this. I do like this. This is fun.
All right, let's try the last one.
All right, we are going to try the last video, or the last wheel now.
As soon as we get your car out of the snow.
As soon as we get out of the snow. All right, let me pause that. All right, here we are with the other variant of the wheel.
This is the slim profile one.
Yes.
Where we use the paper clip to join the pivot piece and the rack. So how does this one feel compared to the other one?
You didn't see that I just crashed his shoe. As you're saying that, I just went into a tree at like 50 miles an hour. I can already tell because of the slop, it's definitely a lot laggier than the other one. So on the first wheel that I had tried, the controller rather, it was a little more responsive. This definitely has some dead zone. You can probably see it there. I'm wiggling the controller pretty hard back and forth, and I'm not getting any movement in my car. The other thing I'm noticing is even though we spent some time to make sure that it was the proper analog stick, there is a slight amount of rub between the bar with the teeth on it. and the actual left portion of the wheel right in here.
So you might have to pull that wheel a little bit out of the bearing. And
Might have to, yeah.
Just to offset it just a little bit.
Yeah, but it feels good. I mean, I'm having the same issue where my hands are too big, and I'm only using the right piece to steer. But it works okay. I can't complain. I could see, again, in a group setting, if everybody had one of these, I think there's a lot of fun here. Because it's very much... It does feel a lot more like you are driving than you are playing a game. The fact that you're using your right thumb and both your thumbs to kind of steer, I do like that. So I think these are largely a success. Oh, that was on purpose. That was on purpose.
Okay, all right.
That was not on purpose. I think these are largely a success. I mean, I think my preference is probably my wheel, only because I've spent, many, many hours refining it. But for somebody who's just trying to get into racing for the first time, I think that this is actually a really, really cool setup.
Especially if you can custom print your own wheel emblem
and
stick it on there.
Well, that was because I looked up at you. That was my fault.
Don't look at me. Always look for...
Eyes on the road. Yes. So, great. All three have their pros, I guess, and cons. Obviously, this is probably going to run you a little bit cheaper than my racing setup. And this is obviously a lot more portable. You could also have more friends jump in on this as opposed to not having multiple racing setups.
Yeah, we were talking about the PLA plastic before. It only cost maybe $1 or $2 in plastic to print all of this.
So, yeah, once you have the hardware, I guess, if you have access to a 3D printer, I think this is a really, really fun accessory. And I think that people who aren't into racing could try this out and enjoy it.
Cool.
All right, you ready? Benny?
Ready. I don't think you need the goggles for this.
Thanks a lot. This was really, really, really exciting. That was my dog with the cone on her head. But what I wanted to say was thanks. Make sure you comment, rate, subscribe to this stuff. You do a lot of cool work. You put a lot of cool customization in this stuff. Thanks for including me on my racing expertise.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be other amazing projects in the future. I can't wait to see what they are.
I really needed to have you compare the wheel to the controller to the mini wheel, just to make sure that we had a calibrated hand.
Calibrated gamer's hands. And with that, for me at least, I'm going to race on out of here. And I'll let you say what you need to say. So everyone pay attention to what this man has to say. Hi, Ben!
All right. Be sure to comment, subscribe to the videos.
Should they comment?
They should comment! So, with that, I will see you at the next DIY project party.